Yo, what is going on, guys? It's Bengt. Welcome back to another video. In this one, we're talking about 4 of the best ways to become a more masculine man. Now, right now, the typical manosphere, red pill, self-improvement response would be get rich, get jacked, attain a high value network, and learn how to fight, right? And those are all really important things, and those definitely are masculine things. However, I kind of want to take it a step further and just get a little more personal than that, because that's great advice, honestly, and those things will help you become more masculine. And I do agree on a lot of that stuff. I do feel like men should be in good physical shape. I do feel like men should learn how to fight. I do feel like to really be worth something in this world, you have to be worth something to the world, right? And you have to create value. You have to be of value. You have to have a skill set. You have to be in a position where you offer something that can allow you to obtain money, wealth, because money is all just an exchange of value, right? You're creating a solution for a problem and getting, paper bills in exchange for that. So while all of those things are dandy and honestly pretty solid advice, even though they've kind of just become the default kind of surface level response to this question, how do you become more masculine, or things you should do to be more masculine, I'm going to break it down. I'm going to get a little more personal, and the first one goes pretty deep, right? So one thing that you can do to become more masculine, and this is from personal experience. I'm speaking from my life, reflecting on some of the things that I'm going through right now. And these are the things that I'm finding, for me to become a better man, that I need to overcome and that I need to deal with, right? So the first one is overcoming your childhood trauma and forgiving everyone that's hurt you. Now, some of you guys might be like, why the fuck would I want to do that? Being angry or being resentful or chasing revenge or wanting to get even or, get back at people that hurt me gives me motivation and gives me fuel to push forward. And while I do think that those feelings, those emotions have their place, I think if you harbor them, they're going to destroy you. And I also think that in order to be the best man that you can possibly be, most of us, probably all of us, have some trauma from our childhood that we need to work through, that we need to unpack. For me, a lot of it is self-sabotage, self-worth, feeling worthy, and knowing my value, which is something we're going to get into in a second. But really, overcoming your childhood trauma is something that you're going to have to do at one point or another. And the more that you continue to run away from it, the more that you continue to kick the can down the road when you have these thoughts and these feelings and these things that are impacting you that you haven't quite dealt with yet, you're going to have to cross that bridge at some point, so it might as well be sooner than later, right? Because the longer that you let these traumas and things affect you, the more you're kind of robbing yourself of your full potential and living your best life, because these things are going to continue to manifest in your life over and over and over. And until you can really get to the root of the issue and solve it, it's going to be tough for you. So I think that to become the best man that you can be, you really do need to dig deep into your childhood and into your past and think about some of the things that might have happened to you or didn't happen to you, how that's affected you, your psyche, your mindset, how you view the world, view people, view yourself even, and kind of sit with that and think about maybe some of the things that you need to dig deep into and improve on. So I think that that's one thing for me that I've been doing, is really looking back at damn, how the fuck did some of these events in my life change me? When did I start to think like that? Because once you get on the process of self-improvement, at one point or another, you start to sit with yourself and reflect and honestly look at yourself. And when you do that, you're bound to uncover things that you don't like, bound to uncover things that you need to improve. And so when you find those things, you can't just slap a Band-Aid on the problem and attack the result, right? You have to get to the root of the issue. What event, what thing, what did someone say to you? When did you start to think that thing? You have to go all the way back. And a lot of times we suppress our memories, we suppress our trauma, we suppress the negative events in our lives. It's almost like your subconscious is trying to bury that to protect you. But if you really want to evolve and grow and, mature past those things, then you need to sit with them and uncover them and let them come to the surface so you can analyze, process it, and move on. So the second thing that you can do to become a more masculine man is to earn your own self-respect and to discover your worth. Now, this is something that I've struggled with for my entire life, and it's been pretty much the theme of my life for the past month or so, which is discovering my self-worth and trying to learn how to be proud of myself, trying to acknowledge the things that I've done, the things that I've achieved, the things that I'm worthy of receiving because of who I am and the work that I've done. And that's something that as a man, truthfully empowers you, especially because we now live in this gynocentric society where, women are pedestalized and sought to be the prize, when in reality, if you are a true high value man, if you are a man that's worked on yourself, if you are a man that has created value and become something of value, then you truthfully are the prize. You know what I mean? And so a lot of men go through life thinking that they have to bend their knee and, seek approval and try to appease everybody and like just grind and fucking, bend over for the man and simp and shit. And it's really sad, man, because at the end of the day, if you focus on yourself, if you work on yourself, if you build yourself up, bro, you become valuable. You become the prize. And anybody that enters your life is truthfully blessed to have you in their life as a result of the value that you bring because of the work that you've done on yourself. So that's something that I'm really wrestling with, is understanding what I'm truthfully worth, understanding my true value. And a lot of that comes from self-respect. You have to get to a point where you value yourself and your own goals more than the approval, more than the gratification, more than the validation of other people, and more than the validation or the approval of society in general, right? If you want to be a truthfully outstanding person, an excellent person, an outlier amongst the herd, right? You have to do things, you have to be different. You have to be a castaway, you know what I mean? You have to be a black sheep. And that can be a hard thing to wrestle with, because everything about your world, when you choose that path, is signaling to you that you're a loser, because everyone else is conforming and fitting into this mold that society has cast for you, and you're not. So at the beginning, when you start to take your own path, things look shitty for you. Things look like they're not working out for you. Things look like you ain't doing shit, bro. You ain't on shit. You're a fucking loser, right? And the more that you continue on that path, you grow and you learn and you develop and you find alternative ways to, win, basically. And throughout that journey, throughout that path, you discover things about yourself. You learn about yourself. You go through the trials, the tribulations, and you uncover your true potential. You uncover your strength. You know what I mean? And you need to embody that, internalize that, and that will help you assess, your self-worth and what you think you deserve. Because in this life, we truthfully get not what we deserve, but what we think we deserve. And that's something that I've been really wrestling with and grappling with in my mind, because what I think I deserve is sometimes less than I should and sometimes way more than I should. And I'm trying to find the happy medium of like really being honest with myself and like, yo, with the stage that I'm at in life, with the work that I've put in, this is where I'm at. I deserve to be at this level, you know what I mean? And I get that and I desire that and I earn that and I accept nothing less for myself. So when it comes to how I treat myself, how I deal with other people, who I let into my life, bro, you got to get to a point where you just have standards, you know what I mean? And you hold yourself to a certain standard and a certain level of accountability, and you got to hold everyone else around you to that same level, because anyone that's above you is going to drag you up, but anyone that's below you is going to drag you down. So you got to really be firm, have that self-respect, have those core values and beliefs, which is actually the next, the thing that you can do to become more masculine. So that's a great segue. Thing number 3, establish core values and a moral code to live by. If you don't have any sort of framework, if you don't have any sort of systems, if you don't have any sort of like mind map or minefield in your brain as far as how you process and filter life, how you identify people that you want to be with or spend time with, how you identify opportunities or things to stay away from, anything, you got to have a set of morals and codes. You got to have a list of things that you're willing to do, that you want to do, that you are encouraged to do, that you think are valuable, and then things that you don't want to do, certain sacrifices you're not willing to make, certain moralities or touchy things that maybe you don't want to make money in this way, maybe you don't support this ideology or this philosophy or this group of people or this thing, and you got to be firm with that shit. And a lot of times we go through life and that set of morals and code is always kind of changing and adapting based on our experience and our circumstances, and things that we encounter that maybe change or open our mind, or maybe things that confirm and reaffirm the things that we already thought about certain ideas, people, things, stuff of that sort, right? So having a strict moral code and set of standards to hold yourself to, that you live by and that you don't negotiate on for yourself, is really important, because it gives you the framework to live your life, and it allows you to consistently and accurately, continue on one path forward. I think that there's a fine line, there's a fine balance between being open-minded, but also being rigid around things that you truthfully really care about. Because if you are completely open-minded and you let anything influence you or change your mind and change how you live and change how you see things, you're in this constant state of flux where you don't really know how you feel about anything. You're kind of just like a sponge absorbing other people's thoughts and opinions and feelings about things. And while I think it's great, and while I think that it is totally possible to be open-minded and perceive and listen to other people's thoughts, opinions, ideas, views on the world, I think that you can also listen to them objectively, but also have your own solidified viewpoints on those things, and maybe just process the information and tweak and adjust your own settings when it comes to how you feel about certain things based on that input. But you don't have to necessarily buy into or hold stake in other people's ideas or philosophy. But it's important to be open enough to listen to them, because you never know what you might learn and from who you might learn it. But generally speaking, I think that having a set of core values and morals that you live by, that you internalize, that you really hold strong to, and don't necessarily negotiate and bend too easily, is something that's important, because it gives you a steady, consistent mental framework to operate in. Because I think that there are so many people with so many opinions and so many ideas out there, and we have exposure to all of it. There's an information overload. We get so much stimulus that we need to process on a daily basis, that if you don't ignore some of it so you can at least set a mind frame to live in, then you just end up scatterbrained, and every single day you're living in someone else's routine, trying to abide by someone else's workout routine, someone else's fucking sleep routine, someone else's meditation and morning routine and schedule, and eat this many calories, carbs, this, that, sleep, and ice water, and or ice cold showers and ice baths and shit. I mean, there's just so many different ways that you could live, and so many different people with different methodologies and frameworks on that if you don't build one for yourself based on what works for you, you're constantly going to be just at the whims of whatever information you process on a day-to-day basis. You're never going to establish consistency, and that's going to really make it hard for you to build up momentum in your life, continue on your self-improvement journey, and become a more masculine man. All right, so that's thing number 3. Number 4, realize that no one is coming to save you. And tied in with that, the things that we do as boys, we should not do as men. And I forget where I saw that quote the first time, but I really, really love that quote. It's a really good one. I think that for a lot of people, that hits home. I think for a lot of people, a lot of men, that's definitely one to live by, to embody, and to think about what that means for you. I know that for me, and for a lot of you guys watching this video, just based on the content that I've put out in the past and where you probably have resonated with some of the videos I've made, when I think about that quote, the things that we do as boys, we should not do as men, the first things that come to my mind is junk food, porn, video games. Those are the big 3, I think, for me. And those are things that you enjoy when you're younger. Maybe you don't enjoy them. You don't like porn. I don't know if you enjoy that. Like, maybe you get some temporary pleasure out of it, but I don't think you just, as you grow older, you realize the consequence of doing those things, right? And you enjoy it less, and it becomes more of just an addiction or a bad habit, something you should kick, but you just are addicted to it, right? So I think there's a lot of other things too that could probably fall under that bucket or that category of things that you do as a boy that maybe don't have immediate consequences then, but you shouldn't be doing as a man. You know what I mean? When you grow up, when you're an adult, when you have goals and obligations and responsibilities, and when you want to really make something of yourself, there are certain things that need to be sacrificed. And some of the first things on the chopping block are things that you enjoyed as a boy, but can't necessarily make that transition into adulthood, manhood, whatever. They need to be sacrificed. You know what I mean? So for a lot of you guys, for myself included, porn, video games, junk food, wasting time doing dumb shit, social media, even scrolling, just consuming content, watching videos, movies, TV shows, stuff like that. Those are all things that I've had to just kind of sacrifice. You know what I mean? And I still, I'll watch an anime here and there just because I love that shit. Or I'll go on YouTube now and then or whatever. But I've tried to just focus more on read a book, bro. Video games are a waste of time. Porn is obviously destructive. We've talked about that a lot on this channel. there's just certain things that, like, bro, when you're a kid and you have all the time in the world and no responsibilities and there's no expectations of you, you know what I mean? Those are the times where you can fuck off if you want to, but those are also the times where if you choose to be different, if you choose to look forward, if you choose to mature a little bit early, your time compounds. And all the things, like, if I could live the life that I'm living right now as like a 19 or 18-year-old, all of the stuff that I'd be doing right now would lead me to a way different position in life. You know what I mean? A lot of guys kind of have to go through life. A lot of guys kind of have to learn from experience. You know what I mean? I saw this really great quote last night. I just finished the Almanac of Naval Ravikant. I'll have a link to that in the description. Great book, a lot of really interesting philosophies. I don't agree with all of it, but I think there's a lot of really important things in there. There's a lot of great just kind of one-liners that come out of it. And one of the ones that was in there, I think it was initially a quote from someone else, was like, if wisdom could be passed along from words alone, we'd be done here. You know what I mean? That's a fucking banger. You know what I mean? If I could sit here and make these videos and people listened and just did everything, and we all just took really great advice and instantly applied it and implemented it into our lives, then we'd be fucking all winning. You know what I mean? But a lot of us have to learn from experience. A lot of us have to play with the fire, get burned a little bit in order for it to really set in and make an impact, in order for us to really internalize those things. So I think that overall, realizing that no one's coming to save you has been a big thing for me, especially when it comes to like business and finances, and kind of just like making really important but hard life decisions, like the ones you don't want to make, the things that you've been putting off and like just kind of putting into the back of your mind and burying and sitting on it because you don't want to confront those things, but you have to. You know what I mean? There's a lot of shit. There's probably a couple things that you're thinking of right now when I say that, and you know what they are. But yeah, man, when you realize that you're gonna die one day and this shit is like pretty much meaningless and you get to make whatever you want out of this life and no one's coming to save you and it's completely on you to do whatever you want with the time that you have here, and if you have goals and shit, you're the only one that's stopping you from achieving those things, so you need to get the fuck up off your ass and start doing what you know you need to do. When you internalize that, when that shit really hits you, man, life gets a little bit different. And for me, I had to like waste a little bit of time. I had to like have some time taken from me. I had to ignore my gut. I had to ignore the feelings of things I was supposed to do and feel the consequences of that and feel shitty about myself and my life in order to kind of reignite the flame of like wanting to achieve my certain goals and what I feel like is my purpose and shit, right? So everybody probably has to go through that to some varying degree on their own, of like just figuring it out for themselves and feeling the fire, you know what I mean? And putting your feet in it and, learning lessons on your own from your own experience, not just the words that some dude on YouTube sitting in his car in a parking lot with a bunch of strangers around him looking at him like through the camera. You know what I mean? So yeah, guys, those are the 4 things that you can do to become a more masculine man. Just to recap really quickly, overcome your childhood trauma, forgive those who hurt you. Another great, amazing quote from that book, The Almanac of Naval Ravikant. He said, and I think this was like a quote from Buddha as well, it's like, holding on to anger is like holding a hot coal, getting ready to throw it at somebody. And that shit for me just kind of hit different. I don't know why, but there's a lot of things in my life that I've held on to because I was angry. And I realized that I'm walking around with this hot coal in my hand and I'm ready to throw it at whoever gets close. And that's just not a good way to live, bro, because you end up taking that shit out on other people. You end up, putting that energy out there, and nothing good ever comes from being negative. I truthfully believe that. So forgive people that have hurt you and move on from your childhood trauma. That's a really important thing to do. Establish core values and a moral code to live by. Earn your own self-respect and discover your self-worth, and then realize that no one is coming to save you and that there are things that you've done as a boy that you should no longer be doing as a man. And do all of those things. I promise you will level up. You'll increase your masculinity and live a more valuable life and a more fulfilled life as a man. So that's all I got for you guys today. If you made it to the end of the video, you're a real one. I appreciate you. Drop a like, smash that subscribe button. We got more content coming for you very, very soon. In the meantime, y'all, stay strong, stay blessed, stay dangerous, and I'll catch you guys in the next one, all right? Peace. If you like this video, by the way, I'll put another one right here that you can check out. You'll probably resonate with it. All right? Deuces.